It doesn't seem to be legacy, so I'm not going to go over and have my kids do that. Like birthday parties, too. Like my kids do, you have 25 to 30 kids in a class. That's not legacy for me to go to 105 birthday parties every year. I'm like, that's not going to produce legacy in my family. Do you even know the kid's name? It's only going to produce a debt in my checking account, and the kid's not going to remember you anyway, and the toy's going to be destroyed. Choose your two friends that are most important in your class that you connect with, and I will go out to those two parties, and I will build relationships and legacy with those two kids because you'll have that relationship past the next year. So that's the types of things that I would recommend to keep legacy within your marriage and your family and overall for yourself. You know, like the same thing in even leadership. I'm not going to go get a degree unless I'm looking at it towards my legacy 5, 10, 15 years from now. Oh, get a degree because technology is changing. Sure, yeah, but is that going to carry legacy for me 20 years from now? Is it going to increase pay? Because I know people that have got bachelor's, master's, and doctorate degrees that invested all their stuff in the business and then it flopped. I knew a CIO that got laid off. I'm like, I'm going to build it if it's in my legacy and my calling. So that's what I would go over and continually emphasize no matter what relationship, your marriage, your family, your faith, leadership, and communication, that if it's producing legacy, continue with it and be ready to go over and to start some stuff, stop some stuff, and continue some things.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Thank you for that. Could you just mention that book again that you mentioned for us to read? Could you just mention that name again?
Yeah, The Tyranny of Urgent, and it's by Charles Hummel, Hummel. And it's easy to go grab off Amazon or whatever site that you like. I know Amazon has it guaranteed. It's like $2 for print, $2 for electronic. It's a 15 to 20 page read and very fruitful and very worthwhile. It changed my life. That's why I don't get caught in that stuff. Everybody's like, you do so much. I'm like, no, I put irons in the fire that I feel are going to be fruitful, and then I don't do anything with them until it's actually hot. So like this interview, for example, I put it in, I did the work, I did it like in a half day or day, and then I put it in, and then I'm like, okay, it's back burner. And then I'll put a calendar reminder until a day or two prior, and then I'll prep like an hour or two before. But I'm not going to be like endlessly doing everything, because if it, let's say, you know, I've had things flop before, and I'm like, I'm not going to go put all that energy into it until it's actually hot. You know, even for legacy stuff, I'm like, I'm grateful that this went and became fruitful, but I wasn't going to put all my eggs in one basket and get myself stressed out and do all the urgent things or over prepare for something that, you know, might or might not be fruitful. So that's what that book goes over and teaches, is that, hey, what's really important? It became important. This interview became important once it became the reality of booking, time, and everything else. And now it's important to me. So now I put the important energy into it. And that's what we should be doing with everything that we do, is say, hey, we put as much as we need to. And then if we need to stoke the fire. And if not, then just drop it and be okay that some things are going to be cold for the fact for other opportunities to open for your legacy and for your calling.
Just about making those right choices and where you put that energy. Yeah, it's so important, because I can't believe with the client, you know, with a lot of clients I see, how much energy they put into just scrolling through social media, and they don't even realize, you know, they don't even, you know, such a time is so important, isn't it? And that's absolutely critical of where we're putting our time, you know, and where our focus is. Yeah, I'm going to, talking of books, can you just tell us about your book?
Yep. It's called Leave No Marriage Behind. We published it in 2017, December 6th. We got a blessing from Natasha Dedman. She's an Australian author that taught us to write the book in 2 days. So that was really an amazing process. Yep. And we focus on what our definition of marriage is. We focus on communication. We focus on intimacy in the bedroom, building a legacy through getting a doctorate degree in your spouse. We go through communication, fighting well, many different topics. So some of the titles are People Puzzles, Under the Sheets, Doctorate Degree, Foundations of Marriage, Happiness Scale. Those are just some of the topics that we go over and cover. So we cover 12 topics, informationally based. The chapters can solely stand on their own, so you don't need to be like, I need to read chapter 2 to understand chapter 9. No, It's all self-contained in that one chapter.
Nice.
And it goes over and gives you like benefits of why to go over and get a doctorate degree in your spouse. What's the bad things if you don't go do those things? Here's some hows and some stories. Give you some action plans and also objections. You'd be like, well, what if I don't believe in this? What's going to happen? Or let's say I don't jump onto this policy, or I don't believe in this particular technique that you go over and do. And then we give 3 action plans per chapter. So we meet the heart of the ladies in the sense of the emotional side of the seers in the book with the stories and the connections. But we also give the guys, hey, how do I go live this out in my marriage? Because guys tend to be like shoulder to shoulder action plans, quick and to the point, and ladies tend to be, more the emotional side of seers. We can have guys that are emotional side and women that are action based, but we meet a blend of the different gender and personality styles within the book. And we try to structure it like into 5 to 7 pages per chapter, maybe 10 max, depending on the chapter. So it's not overwhelming. So you can read the book in about 3 hours, and you have a lot of resources also to connect to, because we give you tons of resources to say, hey, if you want more depth on understanding personality styles, you can connect with us or go buy these books. If you want more depth on understanding your sexual personality style, connect with this resource, this book. So you basically got almost like an encyclopedia for marriage, the 12 major topics that we thought to need to be focused on. We didn't get into finances much. We know it's one of the major killers in there. We might do that in an addendum in our book later on. But we just saw in that season people need more relationship communication, understanding more than finances. Because there's so many people for the finance world of marriage. You can go Dave Ramsey, you can go Crown Financial, you can go all these different directions, you can go Edward Jones. So we just wanted to focus where we focus as relationship consultants in that particular regard. So that's what it is in a summary. And it's a lot of fun in the sense of you're not getting overwhelmed in detail after detail after detail. You get a quick action plan that's fun, and you can get more of the depth if you need it. So it visits all the personality styles of the same style, the same way. So we don't forget anybody in that particular realm. You want depth, you can get depth. You want stories, you got stories. You want a quick action plan, you got that.
Wow, what a book! Leave no marriage behind. It sounds it sounds a really good and an easy read. You can pick up what chapter, and very concise. Yeah, well done.
And that's the way all our books are that way. So our next book, Leave No Family Behind, in December of this year, it'll be the same structure, informationally based resource. It's almost like you'll basically have an Encyclopedia Britannica of different places to go. Because if you go on Google, you go on Amazon, for example, there's 86,000 books on marriage before I wrote my book. It might be a little bit more. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
where'd you start? Oh my God.
Where do you start? Wow. And that's where our heart was at. And even our pastor, when he wrote his book about, and we reference his book in there too, because we thought it was a great book on marriage. And even in that point, it's like he read only 150. I looked and I'm like, how many books are on marriage? 86,000. I'm like, I've read a lot of books on marriage, communication, 5 love languages, Gary Chapman, all these places and whatnot. Yeah. But I'm like, what if you want a basically great source of starter pack, but then I need to know where references are great places to start. So that's why we always write our books, because we just want to give the best of the best to the world in a sense. So basically, and we're doing it as a series anyway. So when we write our leadership book, when we write our book from a Christian perspective, it will be like, here's the best of the best, instead of just going over and saying like there. And again, we're not perfect. We're human. We might miss one, and later on, like, hey, if somebody has a really great resource, we can always add to version 2.0. But at least in this season right now, I'll be like, here's the best of the best is for our marriage. Here's the best of the best of our family and what we recommend. And then we're giving them quick shots of something they can apply within their marriage in a couple of days to a week, and not be like, okay, I need to go through a 12-step process,
Yeah. I love that. I absolutely love that. And that's something you can just do straight away. And that's what we need. We need to be doing stuff now. Leave no marriage behind. And then we've got Leave No Family Behind coming out in December. Wow. Thank you. So how do you wow your spouse daily? What do you do? What is wowing your spouse? And what can we do? What can we do right now?
Again, wowing your spouse is based on the personality style. So Like for my wife, love languages and personality style combined. So if I want to go wow my spouse, and let's say she's more words of affirmation and physical touch, I can surprise her with a hug. I can go over and do a send out card and go send that through the mail. I can go over and leave chocolates in the mailbox. I can go over and say, maybe deliver one rose, or go over and send her a text of affirming her and whatnot. Once you understand that, you continually to woo. So basically, in summary, you don't even have to know the love languages. If you did what you did when you were dating in marriage, you would continue to wow your spouse. We tend not to woo. We only woo our spouse until we get married, and then about a few months into a few years, that honeymoon itch ends, and then you get into the routine, and then you put your marriage as like almost like autopilot, and then you put your career back on number one, and or you put the kids as number one, or you put your legacy or your sports or anything else. If you continue to put your spouse as number one, you're going to integrate with them all the entire day. I mean, when I was deployed in Iraq, well, the border of Iraq, and then Kuwait and UAE and whatnot, I was talking to my spouse 4 to 6 hours a day. I mean, still. And through either text communication, instant message, letters, email, whatever. And I mean, in this technology, in this age, and everything else, you have a lot of opportunities to go over and stay intimately connected with your spouse. I mean, FaceTime, Skype. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. And then if you do it right and put the priority up front, then you'll continue to go over and do that. It's the same thing with your kids as you go over and build legacy with your family, you know. How do you go over and do that when you're deployed? I mean, I've been deployed 4 times. It might be a 5th depending on where this world's going. But yeah, so you just have to continually go over and to do that. And with a lot of the technologies of today, go over and doing that. And then also, if you can, and if your budget prevails you to do it, get your debts solved as much as possible so you can grab as much of that time as possible back. Like, is it really worthwhile every day? Like in my family, like by next year, my goal is to get rid of all laundry and chores and set and done. Like once we get to 6-figure, our goal by the end of the year, and then 7-figure in 2 to 5 years, I'm not going to go put all the time in the laundry. I'm like, for the kids to go over and learn the structure for their family and generation, great. But outside of that, I'm going to hire that out so I can bring back the quality time in my marriage and in my family. Because alone, it takes an hour and a half to 4 hours a day for laundry for the size of a family of 6. I mean, I'm not there constantly running it like the 1840s with the washer board, but...
Oh, sorry, we've lost Daniel. Sorry, we've lost Daniel. We're just going to grab him back now. As we were talking about all those different ways of connecting. I'm just going to... Hi, Daniel. Sorry. Hey. Just as we finished talking about lots of different ways of connecting, it goes down.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were talking about the laundry and all, spending time with the family, with doing it for your 4 kids.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, with your family and your business and everything else. Another thing to keep the wow on your spouse and your family is anytime as you're growing a business or if you're in a business, and it helps in your business long term, is start to streamline those processes as simple as possible. Like if you can third-party service, let's say you're an entrepreneur and you can third-party service a part of your business, let's say bookkeeping, and that's the majority that takes your time, do that as soon as possible so you can gain back that time with family. If you're growing a business and you're doing one-to-one clients, those are great for a season, but eventually get one to group so you can bring your revenue, help more people, and then bring back more to your family and to your kids. I mean, and that goes over and increases legacy because then people want those things. You want to live out what you're going over and helping in your business. There's no point of, being 6-7 figures or working 60 to 100 hours a week to not have the legacy of your family. Because at the end of the day, if you on your deathbed, your leadership's not going to come over like, thank you for spending 100 hours a week for the past 25 years at this job. Yeah. We'll take care of your family well. That's a rarity. And it's like, you don't, I mean, so yeah, you got to balance that out. And then that's the same thing at work. It's like whittling away